welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at three small, but wow, really mighty words in English. We're talking about just, yet, and already.
If you've ever found yourself sort of pausing, wondering, which one fits just right in a sentence, especially maybe with the present perfect tense, then yeah, you are definitely not alone. These tiny adverbs, they can pack a punch of confusion.
Oh, they absolutely can, yeah. And while they might seem like tricky little linguistic puzzles at first, our deep dive today is really all about making their usage, well, crystal clear. By the time we're done, hopefully you'll be navigating these common words with a lot more precision and confidence, too.
Right. So our mission today, unpack the core meaning, typical placement, and those, subtle nuances of each word. Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to mastering them. So let's dive right in. Let's start with just.
Okay, just. So just is really all about immediacy. We use it to talk about actions that happened a very, very short time ago. It signals that something concluded, like literally a moment ago. Okay, so it's about that, like, fresh, hot-off-the-press feeling. But what about where it goes in a sentence? Its placement. Does it have a fixed home, or can it wander around a bit?
Good question. In the present perfect tense, its position is, well, quite rigid, actually. It always slots in between the auxiliary verb that's have or has, say, and the past participle. And just to clarify, the past participle, that's the form of the main verb, like finished in I've finished or seen in I've seen,
Got it, yeah.
So the structure is basically subject plus have has plus just plus past participle. For instance, I've just finished my Italian homework. That means it was completed like moments ago. And yes, to answer your question, just really must stay in that specific spot. It can't move.
Okay, that's clear. But one common area of confusion I often hear about, especially when people are maybe listening to different English speakers from different regions, is how just behaves. Could you shed some light on that? Is there a difference?
Yes, absolutely. There's a really fascinating regional difference there. In American English, you'll often hear just paired with the past simple. So something like, I just had a coffee.
Yeah.
But if you're talking, say, British English, the present perfect is typically favored for that very recent action. So you'd more likely hear, I've just had a coffee. It's not really that one is wrong,
What about?
It's more about a slight difference in emphasis, how speakers emphasize the connection to the present moment. American English often favors that more direct past reference, perhaps, while British English often maintains that stronger link to the present state resulting from the action.
That makes a lot of sense. Really interesting distinction. So we've covered that immediate recent action with just, but what about when we're talking about something we expect to happen? But it hasn't quite happened. That's where yet comes in, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yet is the word we reach for when something hasn't occurred, but you anticipate it will happen probably soon. It's all about conveying that expectation, that waiting.
And its placement. Does it have a fixed position, like just, or is it more of a free spirit?
Yet is another one with a very specific home. It always goes at the very end of the sentence.
Oh,
always.
Yeah. Always at the end. Now, I've definitely heard yet used. But are there rules about when? Like, can we use it anywhere or only in certain types of sentences?
That's a great point because there's a crucial rule here, really important. Yet is only used in negative sentences and questions.
Only negatives and questions.
That's right. You simply will not find it correctly used in positive statements. So you'd say, I haven't finished the book yet. That's negative. Or ask, have you done your homework yet? That's a question. A classic example, maybe a fun one that everyone knows, is when kids ask from the back seat, are we there yet?
Oh, yeah.
That impatient anticipation is precisely what yet captures.
Right. Okay. So just is immediate past, yet is expected future, or the lack of it happening yet. What about already? This one I feel like is a bit more slippery, especially nailing down its exact placement.
You're right to notice that. Already is used to show that something happened earlier than expected. It means basically before now. It often highlights that sense of surprise, or maybe just simple completion before anticipated.
Okay, earlier than expected. And its placement. Is it flexible?
Now, its placement is a bit more flexible than just or yet. Yes. The most common place for already is, well, similar to just. It often goes between the auxiliary verb have or has and the past participle. So, I've already seen this movie is perfectly correct, very standard.
Okay, like just.
Exactly. However, Already can also be placed right at the end of the sentence.
Oh.
For instance, I've seen this movie already. Now, when you choose to put it at the end like that, it often adds a bit more, let's say, emotional emphasis. It can sound more like surprise, maybe even a touch of impatience or disappointment sometimes.
Interesting.
Think about you finished your dinner already. Putting it at the end really amplifies that astonishment.
So it adds a little flavor at the end.
Kind of, yeah. And it also crops up in questions, too. Typically, using already in a question is to show surprise. You'll hear it in forms like, have you already eaten? That can sometimes sound a bit more formal, perhaps, or just convey stronger surprise. Or you might hear the more casual, have you eaten already? Both are perfectly acceptable ways to express that, wow, sooner than I thought.
This has been incredibly helpful. Seriously. Clearing up some long-standing linguistic fog for me and probably for you listening too. So let's put this knowledge to the test. How about a few quick scenarios drawn from our source material? See how you do. Ready for the first one?
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to watch Avatar? No thanks. Seen it 3 times. What goes in the blank?
Right. The answer there would be, I've already seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
Already fits perfectly because it signifies the action happened before now and probably emphasizes that it occurred earlier than the person asking might have expected, hence why they don't want to watch it now.
Makes sense. Okay, next scenario. Has she replied to your message?
Ugh, that one needs, has she replied yet? This reinforces its use, remember, specifically in questions about actions you're expecting. Expecting to happen, but maybe they haven't.
Perfect. And for our final one, why do you look tired? I went for a run.
Okay, here, you'd most commonly say, I've just been for a run. Or, thinking about that regional variation we talked about, if you're speaking American English, you might easily hear, I just went for a run. Both work, and both highlight that the action was very, very recent.
Fantastic. This has been such a useful deep dive. So if we were to give you listening a really quick recap, what are the absolute core takeaways for each of these words, the things you should really carry with you?
Certainly, let's boil it down. For just. Remember, it signals very recent actions, happened moments ago, and its position is fixed between the auxiliary verb, have, has, and the past participle. Think, I've just eaten. Simple. For yet. This is about something that hasn't happened, but you anticipate it will. Expectation. It always goes at the end of the sentence. Always. And crucially, it's only used in negative sentences and questions, like, have you finished yet? Or, I haven't finished yet.
Negatives and questions, end of sentence.
Okay. And finally, already. This is for when something happens sooner than expected. Before now. It's more flexible placement-wise. It can go between the auxiliary and past participle, like, I've already eaten. That's very common. Or, to add that maybe subtle emotional nuance, like, surprise, it can go right at the end. I've eaten already.
Brilliant. You know, understanding these seemingly small adverbs, it really allows for incredibly precise and expressive communication. Knowing these distinctions, it can dramatically enhance your clarity. Make sure your message lands exactly as you intend.
Absolutely. And if we sort of zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture, these tiny words are actually incredibly powerful time markers in English. They help us convey not just when something happened, but also those subtle expectations, surprise, even emotional tones. So I'd really encourage you listening, start paying close attention to these words in daily conversations. Hear how people use them, and then, actively practice using them yourself. That's how you really solidify your understanding.
Yeah, definitely practice them. And as you reflect on this deep dive today, maybe consider this, how small linguistic details, like choosing between just, yet, and already, don't just convey information about time. They also reveal subtle cultural things, regional preferences in language, hinting at how different communities might perceive and communicate about time itself. So how might understanding these tiny nuances help you better appreciate the richness and, frankly, the complexity of any language you encounter? Maybe even your own. Something to think about.